Hi everyone, Scott Sillari here with Vyral Marketing. We're here in another Harrelson Hangout. Super excited to be back with Greg, and we have Mike Finnerbitz here. I just butchered your name, Mike. I'm sorry, but
That's all right.
we're here for another Harrelson Hangout coaching call. It's going to be great, and Mike just came over the group back in January, and he's seen some amazing results. So we're going to go through that, and then we're also going to go through what his outlook looks like with his future with the Harrelson Group. So Greg, take it from here, buddy. Let's start off. Let's just get right into it.
Okay. Well, good. Yeah, I don't want to waste our time, anyone else's time, and let's just go ahead and get started. So why don't before I start, Mike, going into a coaching call, because really what we're going to do here is just like we do in the office. We're just doing it on a Hangout right now. Is just kind of go through some things that maybe you want to accomplish in your business, and then I'll give you some ideas. We'll just have an open dialogue, just as if we were again in our office by ourselves talking. But to start off, let's just make sure everyone's kind of connected as to what you're up to, how long you've been at the company, and where your business is right now, and then we can kind of go into the meat of the conversation. So you've been with us, I think, since January, right, of this year.
Yes.
Okay, so it is September, so about 9 months, and can you just share with us, how many closings have you had so far in the first 9 months with us?
Let's see. 9 months, I've had about 27 closings.
Okay, and I'm assuming you have some pendings right now. What's your pending look like?
I got about 8 pendings.
Okay, so 8 pendings, 27 closings. So what what would you say you're on track to close in your first 12 months over here?
I'm going to say somewhere in the 40 to 45 range.
Okay. All right. So it's important for those that are listening that's fantastic. But I also want to be fully transparent. Mike is new to our company, but he's been in the business for what, 4 years, maybe 3 or 4 years?
Yeah, just over 4 years.
Okay, good. So he's not brand new licensee. He's been been in the business for a little while. But I think what's interesting is when he came to us, how many leads did you have when you came with us?
When I came over, I had 0 leads.
Okay.
At all.
So that to me is the cool thing, is you had 0 leads, and now you've already went from 0 to 27 closing, 8 pendings, and maybe on track to do somewhere in the 40 to 45 range. So great job. So here's where the conversation's going to get real interesting for those who are listening. So Mike, you came to me the other day, maybe it's 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You came to me and you said, I want to talk, so we talk. And what did you say to me?
I said I wanted to switch over to be a listing agent.
Okay, got it. Yeah, and it does sound kind of funny because we have one of those relationships. We'll kid around with each other a good bit, but
Yeah.
that was a comment that you made that I have to say, I was like, tell me a little bit more about that. So let's talk about that. You are having great success with buyers. You went from 0 to, let's just call it 40 to 45 transactions in 12 months, 0 leads, and all of a sudden you want to be a listing agent. So tell me a little bit more. What's in your head right now? What are you thinking? Because I support you 100%.
Yeah.
The question is what are you thinking? And it could be a great thought. So it's not what are you thinking, I'm doubting you. It's literally, tell me what you're thinking.
Well, what I'm thinking is I want to get to a level where very few have gotten, and that's over 100 deals. And all the agents that get over 100 deals are all listing agents. So I mean that's where I want to go. In order to get there, I feel like I got to make a switch.
Okay, got it. So what I hear you saying is that you're 40, 45 deals, fantastic. You could probably get, next year, I'm sure you'll grow. Even if you just work buyers, you'll grow beyond where you are right now. And it's a great observation. So you're looking around and you're seeing other top producers. There's only a few people who do 100 deals in our market, 100 or more, but you're also, I think, hearing about top producers all around the country. And what you're noticing is those that seem to be doing 100+ deals seem to focus on listings. I actually would say that's very accurate. As a matter of fact, I had a coaching call, or a call, I should say, with Mike Ferry about 6 months ago, and I asked him, I said, do you really know any buyer's agents that are doing 100+ deals? And he says, there may be a few, but typically they're buying all kinds of leads, and so they're not really that profitable. And when I asked him why, he says, it's really hard to set up systems and to be able to manage your time. So manage high volume in very little time. So it really becomes in my opinion, and this is really something Mike said also, was that the time that it takes to take a new lead to closing on the buyer side of the transaction is much more lengthy than the time it takes to go from a new lead, listing lead, to a closing transaction. So when you're trying to multiply your transactions to 100 or more, it's almost like you're going to have to give up your whole family life or your personal life. In other words, it's not too often that you'll see a buyer's agent that doesn't work 7 days a week, work well into the evenings. So that's also an option. I mean, you could probably still hit your 100 deals, and just by putting in more hours and never taking a day off. Why aren't you going that route? I know it doesn't sound too sexy, but you know, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, that means I want to have a life, and you know, I want to have a life. I've got, you know, some goals, some dreams that you know, I want to accomplish, and you know, working 7 days a week isn't something that will fit within, you know, my goals.
Understood. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Can I jump in and ask a quick question,
Yeah,
Greg?
absolutely, man. Please.
So, Mike, what's the motivation to do 100 deals? So I know that's a great number. Like you just mentioned goals. Tell me about where that's going to take you and what 100 deals is going to do for you, and maybe what the next goal is from there and what your big picture is.
So probably 100 deals. You know, once I hit that mark, then it's going to be, you know, what's the next highest goal. You know, basically what I'm thinking, I'm the type of competitive person to where I want to be the best at whatever I am. You know, the you know, top of the mountain, the number one. You know, so that's kind of where I'm going with that, and you know, it'll be a stair step, you know, to get to that goal.
Yeah. So you're just wanting to be
Very simple. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like, you know, this is a game for you. I mean, obviously you take your career seriously, okay? It's your profession, but it sounds like it's also a game for you, and basically one of the ways that you measure yourself maybe against your competition is through number of transactions. And let's face it, 45 is fantastic, but it's not number one.
Correct.
And if your goal is to be number one, then you're going to have to make some adjustments in the way that you do business to reach it. So let's talk about making a transition, okay? And I'll say this to you, but I want anyone that listens to this Hangout to understand that by no means do I believe that you should or should not make this transition, okay? I mean, you are doing a great job at what you're doing, and there's plenty of buyer's agents out there that are doing a phenomenal business, and they don't need to make this transition, yet you want to. So I'm going to coach you as if this is your decision, and you're asking, how do I do it, Greg? So let's just get into some of the meat, like how do you do it? The first thing that you've got to do, okay, and I took a couple notes because I want to make sure we get this right. The number one thing you got to do is you got to become an absolute master at the listing presentation. I'm not concerned about where you're going to get leads, whether you're going to prospect, how you're going to market for seller leads. I could care less about what you're going to do to generate leads right now. I can assure you that if you will master the listing presentation, you will do as much business as you want to do on the listing side of our industry. So the key is what is mastering the listing presentation? Because some people, you know, maybe look at a listing presentation and say, well, yeah, I know a listing presentation. Well, what is mastering it? Mastering it is this. I want you to be able to one day walk into our office and say, hello everybody, I'm about ready to do a listing presentation. Would you like to watch? And you sit down in the middle of the office and you conduct a listing presentation in front of 20, 30 of your peers, male, female, newer to the business, veterans. I would like you to have the confidence that you could walk in and do a listing presentation in front of 20 or 30 of your peers and nail it. When you do that, I will call you the master in terms of listing presentation. Because here's what I know. When you master the listing presentation, your lead to listing conversion ratio will go through the roof. Unfortunately, most people, their agents, their leads to listings taken conversion ratio is literally like 25 to 30%. I mean, everybody wants to say, oh yeah, we're over 50%, but I'm telling you right now, it's 25 to 30%. That's normal in our industry. Now, people are going to 10 listing appointments and getting 3. You want to go to 10 and have the opportunity to take all 10, but only take 7, because what that means is all 10 wanted you, but you didn't want 3 of them.
So he's turning them down, Greg.
Absolutely. I want his presentation to be so darn good that all 10 of them will say yes. It's just maybe all 10 of them don't qualify for whatever standards he sets for the listing inventory that he wants. So typically you may turn down, Mike, you may turn down listings where people are attempting to overprice the property, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in order to go 10 for 10, but actually not take 10, only take 7, you've got to be a master of your presentation. So let's talk about how to master the presentation. Number 1, to master your presentation, you need to read, chant out loud. Read and chant out loud the listing presentation 5 times every single day. Now, if you do it 4 times instead of 5 times, now I have a personal relationship with you. You are an agent in my office. I am coaching you as an agent. If I say, hey, you need to do it 5 times and you do it 4 times, I'm going to question how bad you really want to make this transition. If I say you need to do it 5 times because that's going to lead you to mastery, and you do it 5 times, then I can assure you you're going to be a master at the presentation. So it's not 4 times, it's not 3 times, it's not 2 times. You've got to chant it out loud 5 times a day for the next 30 days. Then, step number 2, starting on Monday. Today is Thursday. Starting on Monday, for 2 weeks straight, every single day, let me say Monday through Friday, not Saturday and Sunday, Monday through Friday for 2 straight weeks, starting this coming Monday, you need to do 1 listing presentation in front of another agent in our office every single day. So now you're going to chant the presentation 5 times, and then you're going to actually do the presentation 1 time with another agent. Now, I don't want you to choose the same agent every time. It has to be a different agent, because see, all sellers are not the same. Every seller looks different, talks different, sounds different, has different questions, has different objections. So I want you, in the next 2 weeks, I want you to actually present to 10 different people who have 10 different styles, who have 10 different voices, who have 10 different sets of questions and objections. 5 days a week, 1 listing presentation a day. Now, if you do it 4 days out of the 5 days, guess what I'm going to say?
You're not as committed.
Don't make the transition, man.
Yeah.
And listen, for those of you listening, including you, Mike, the reason why I'm saying it is you've got a good thing going on. You've got a good business already, bud. I mean, you are doing fantastic. Don't mess up something that you've got going on that's so good already. You're already on path to do 60 plus transactions next year. If we're going to eventually gravitate away or move away from the current business model, then you only can do it if and when you're fully committed. Because the last thing you want to do is move away from this 60 or 70 deals that you'll do next year to go make a transition and then only half commit to then turn around 6 months later and say, never mind, I don't want to do listings. I actually want to go back to buyers, because what you lost is you lost momentum. You've got momentum. So what we're going to do here is we want to make a transition without losing momentum. And the way that we make a transition without losing momentum is by making sure that you make this transition quickly. And the transition, you've completed your transition when you become a master at the listing presentation. Okay? So chant it out loud 5 times a day. Suggest you do it in the morning. And 1 live presentation with a fellow realtor in the office. Don't choose the same one. Starting Monday, do that 5 days next week and 5 times the week after. If you want to do it more, good for you. You'll just speed up the process. Okay. Any questions on that particular coaching, Scott or Mike?
I was going to just jump in real quick and say I hope everyone that's watching is taking notes. Okay. Secondly, there's a Q&A application in the upper right corner. If you click in those little boxes, you can type in a question. We'll try to get to it, and Greg will get to it at the end of this coaching call. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. I'm glad you said that. Any questions on this stuff, Mike? I mean, I know it's self-explanatory, but anything on your mind?
I was going to ask a question, Greg. Do you think it would be beneficial as well for him to listen to another listing agent doing it and like kind of reversing the role?
Yeah, absolutely. And and I think that's one of the things, Mike. I believe I saw you in the office doing this maybe last week. Have you been shadowing some of the more experienced listing agents in the office lately?
Yes, I have. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you've been shadowing them and you've been listening to them prospecting, probably calling expireds and FSBOs and cold calls and all the different lead sources. Okay,
Correct.
So to kind of like to piggyback off of what Scott was just saying, I don't know if you've done this, but it would be critical to shadow somebody, and I'd say 3 or 4 times on listing presentations. Have you done that yet?
No, I haven't. And that was actually going to be my next question.
Okay. Yep.
Should I do that?
Yeah, great. I'm glad you brought that up, Scott. Absolutely. So let's just say the 3rd task for mastering the listing presentation is in the next week, shadow at least a minimum of 3 live listing presentations done by skilled presenters out of our office.
I think that's big. I know that right now we're training a new sales guy to do it for Vyral, and I have about 50 presentations recorded, and that's the first thing I'm doing. I'm just making him, because he has to go into this role. He doesn't have a choice.
Yeah.
So
got it. Yeah.
It's a little different, but yeah. But I think it's good hearing it over and over and over, the repetitiveness of someone doing it the correct way.
Absolutely. And another thing that you're going to get is beyond just the repetition, Mike, is you're going to see what it looks like on the street. Because there's always like, okay, it's like when you're in the simulator. We like a lot of times we'll look at our office and call our office the simulator. We should probably call it the real estate simulator. Because you come in here, you've got a lot of opportunities to go through the process through role-playing sessions or just role-playing one-on-one with each other. But of course, when you get out there in the real world, there's always some things that you just cannot anticipate. For example, the dog's barking or the baby's crying, and the lady or man has to get up and down to calm the baby down. All these little variables that sometimes throw people off of the presentation. So you want to totally immerse yourself in that environment prior to having to do it yourself. So right on target. The second thing that I wrote down here, besides assuming you are on the right path of mastering the listing presentation, the second thing that I wrote down here is you have to build your database fast. Because I'm willing to bet that the majority of your database are all buyer leads, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. So we live today. This is just a kind of an opinion here, or it is an opinion. A listing agent, their value is their database. That's it. I mean, their value is not necessarily how many deals they did last year. Their value is how big are they growing their database? Not how fast are they growing their business, how fast are they growing their database? If they focused on growing their database faster, their business would actually grow faster. There's a direct correlation between the growth of your database and the growth of your business. In your situation, you don't really have a seller's database, a property owner's database. So you've got to grow that aggressively. Now, assuming for a moment that, I mean, a database is valuable, but it's only valuable if you communicate to it properly. I mean, like the guys here at Vyral, what do they teach us every day? 2 video emails a week. And you stay on them and you give them good, valuable content. Listen, Scott, you and Frank are freaking right on. That's exactly what we're supposed to do. But the key is, Mike, is there's great tools out here like this, but if you don't have a database, guess what? They're useless. Okay?
Absolutely.
So here's the key. We need to be on the fast track of building the database. So let me tell you the fastest way to build the database. Number one, you need to call all of your past buyers. You need to call, connect with them, ask them if they put any thought to either purchasing more property or possibly selling what they purchased. Now, a lot of them have probably seen some appreciation. So don't be surprised when some of them say, you know what, Mike, it's interesting that you say that. I was thinking about selling this and upgrading to something, a 4-bedroom, or selling this and downgrading to a 2-bedroom, or getting a second home. Don't be surprised. Some of them are very happy with how they've seen the market, their appreciation, the market grow and their property appreciate, and they're ready to either buy more or potentially sell, which means list, and then actually buy again, which is 2 transactions, which is fantastic, right? So you want to call that database and then let them know, hey, by the way, I'm going to start sending you some updates once or twice a month on the market, so you can kind of keep in touch with what's going on. We know when the market shifts, sometimes it can affect your investment, so I want you to know and understand everything that's going on in the market. I'm going to keep you current. What's the best email for me to get that to you? You may already have their email, but I want you to ask again, because these are your past clients. They're going to give you whatever email they have, and a lot of them have changed their email, so now you're going to get their fresh email. That's the number one source of building your database, is going after the past clients. And the reason is because it's a high quality list that you're building, the highest quality list. Okay? Then what I want you to do, and you know this, you know you're going to have to be a generating machine if you want to be a big agent in the form of listing agent. Okay? So what does that mean? Then you have to call. You have to prospect. You're going to have to prospect 3 hours a day, and you're going to have to make a minimum of 10 contacts an hour. Say it's 30 contacts a day. So if you'll do 10 contacts an hour for 30 contacts a day, or for 3 hours straight, 30 contacts a day, and you're going to, of course, most likely a lot of those contacts will be just sold, using the just sold script. And as you're talking to them and they say to you, no, we're not thinking about selling, here's what I want you to say. I want you to say, Mike, I appreciate you taking the call and having a conversation with me about your property. I understand you're not interested in doing anything right now, but you probably know that the economy sometimes shifts and we never know what's going to happen. Yet at the same token, if the market was to shift, we know it has a major impact on our real estate holdings. A lot of other owners have asked that I keep them up to date as to what's going on in the market. What is the best email for you to make sure I deliver that information that your neighbors are getting? Okay?
Yeah.
So you're going to ask them for an email.
I think you need
What's
to
that?
train. I think you need to train every single one of the Vyral Marketing clients that we have, Greg, on
Yes.
using that script.
There you go. Well, they've got it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got it right now. And so the key is this and again, I'll kind of repeat it because I'll say it a little bit differently, and not just for the sake of really making sure, Mike, that this really sinks in. You're on a call. They say to you, nope, not thinking about selling. Say, hey, no problem. You know, John, I just wanted to let you know, I don't know if you know or not, but a lot of your neighbors have requested that I keep them up to date as to what's going on in your community. I mean, we know when the market shifts, a lot of times it can have an impact on your investment, and people just want to know where they stand all the time. So what is the best email? I'll make sure you get the same information they're getting. What you're going to find when you use that script, or one of those two variations, what you're going to find is you're going to find that a high volume of contacts will actually give you their email address. And you're getting their email address by telling them you're going to be sending them updates. So it's not that you're getting their email and you're going to spam them, because that's not what we're doing. That's not where our intentions. Our intentions is to now gain permission. Once they give you their email, that is the same thing as giving you permission to send them the updates that you said that you were going to send them. Now all of a sudden, think about this. Here you are talking to a bunch of strangers. Those strangers are giving you their email address. Then you're going to send them quality information, good, valuable content on a monthly or bi-monthly, a frequency. Over time, you're going to take that stranger, and that stranger is going to know your name, because they're going to constantly associate your name with good information. That stranger will turn into an acquaintance, and after about 12 months, that acquaintance is going to turn into an advocate, and you'll notice that the same people are always opening up your emails, reading them, and responding. Now you know who your advocates are. And those advocates are the ones that will send you referrals and do business with you when they are ready. Okay? So now you've got to be on the fast track. Not only the fast track of mastering the list and presentation, you got to be on the fast track of building your database. Because the transition should take 12 months to go from buyer's agent to listing agent. And you're not going to go cold turkey. I would never suggest you go cold turkey on this. But if you're going to make the transition, you commit to working both sides for 12 months, because it's going to take you 12 months. If you focus and work aggressively towards it, it's going to take you 12 months to build a solid database and to gain the trust amongst the people that are in your database. Then on month 13th, 14th, and 15th, you're going to start to see opportunities come from your database, in addition to the people that say yes to you while you're actually prospecting. Because remember, I didn't even talk about the people that say yes and you get listings just from the actual calls themselves. I talked about how to monetize the no's. The people who tell you no are the people who you're going to build your business off of over the next couple of years. The people who tell you yes are the people that you're going to build your business off of in the next couple of months. But see, we're not building a business for the next couple of months. We're building a business that can be sustained over time, year after year after year. That comes from a database, not from direct calls. Questions on databases?
It's like sweet music in my ears, Greg.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, what do I do now? Excellent.
Okay, good. Yeah, you need a drink of water, some oxygen.
Yeah.
I tell you, one of my styles as a coach is I definitely should have been a fireman, because I fire hose people when it comes to coaching. It'll actually sink in a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
So the last thing that I have here is this to say to you about making the transition. I want you to understand, I will promise you something. It's going to take longer than you think it is. It really will. I can promise you're going to be frustrated. I can promise that. I can promise you that you're going to go through a lot of rejection before you actually experience a lot of acceptance. And that's okay. I'm just telling you up front, it's going to take longer than you think. You're going to be frustrated, and you're going to get a lot more rejection in the beginning before you start getting acceptance. It's part of the process. So what I want you to already be focusing on is, hey, there are going to be days where you feel like turning back. You feel like, you know what, this is a breakdown, this is not worth it, let me go the opposite direction. Let me go settle back in with my 45, 50, 60, 65 transactions. You know what? And if you decide to do that because that's what you want to do, fantastic. But in order to break through and transition to do 100 transactions, you got to understand it's going to be frustrating because you're going to be there's a potential for the next 6 months that you may actually go backwards in production in order to go forward in production. And you've got to be willing to tolerate that and weather that storm. I know, because I've asked you in the past, I know that you're going to say, I'm okay with doing a few less sales as long as I can make the transition. You know, that's fine and dandy when it's you and I having a coaching call, but when you're in the middle of it getting your butt kicked, questioning whether or not you should really do it, you will be tempted to actually turn back. If you're going to go this route, you've got to commit. Because the danger is if you half commit and you turn back, you will lose a whole year of production. You will lose a year of production because you'll lose your momentum that you've already generated, and it'll take you another 6 months to generate that back. So if you get 6 months into trying to generate a listing business and you turn back, well, you didn't gain momentum there, and what you did is you lost momentum on your buy-in side business, so then it's going to take you 6 more months to get the momentum back for the buy-in business. That's how I come up to 1 year. Any questions?
Mike, any questions?
Mike, hello?
Yeah, I'm here. Just fire hose. That's all I'm thinking. Fire hose. I do have probably a comment.
Okay.
When the whole, it's going to take longer than you think, I'm going to get frustrated. And, every morning, I write in my journal, and I've been writing this for about 3 months. And, about 3 months ago is when I started thinking about, making that transition. And I wrote a sentence down. I write it every single morning in my journal, and it's commit to it and sacrifice to get it.
Wow. It's the first I've heard of that. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah. Every 3 months.
So you're committed.
I am committed.
Yeah. Good, man.
I love it.
I do too, man. I'm so glad you told me that because, sometimes, and I'm not questioning you at any level, but sometimes as a coach, we do go through those times where we question one's commitment. And now that I know that you've been writing that in your journal every day for 3 months, there's nothing, I have nothing to question. So you've got my 100% support. I mean, I will do everything I can to help you get there. So, Scott, those are the 3 things that I wrote down, Mike. Those are the 3 things that I wrote down that I wanted to share with you on making a transition from going to, buyer-driven business to listing-driven business. There's a lot of other little things that we're going to have to, to address throughout the process. But those are the 3 things that I said, if I only had 3 things to tell you, those are the 3 things that I would tell anybody who's thinking about doing this on day 1. So, Scott, if there's anything else or any questions that you have, I think we'll about wrap it up now.
Absolutely. There's one question that came in about scripts for the listing presentation. Obviously, Greg has his own scripts, but is there anything public that you would suggest someone go and seek out if they're looking to learn a new listing presentation?
Yeah, I mean, I tell you what, all of our scripts really are either the Mike Ferry scripts or we've used, maybe we've created a few scripts on our own, and I don't even know off the top of my head which ones those would be. But if you went to Mike Ferry's website, I think it's probably mikeferry.com or mikeferrycoaching.com, you can go to scripts, and there's free information. You can download his entire script book for free. Off the internet, and so I will tell you the majority of our scripts they're either those exact scripts or they're based off those scripts, and most of them are those exact scripts.
Perfect. There you go. Well, Greg, the best part about this is there's so many people that will coach you and say what you need to do, but you actually have action steps here for Mike, which is great, and for the people watching and listening, there's action steps here. And you got to figure out and know yourself and know your commitment. But great stuff, Greg, as always. And
thanks.
Yeah, and Mike, thanks for being on. And guys, we'll be back. We got another question here. What prospecting methods did Mike use to get from 0 to 45 deals?
Do you
Good.
want me to answer that, or?
Yeah, I didn't do the deals. You did the deals. Yeah, you go ahead and answer that.
So basically, number one is my mindset. I came in with a goal to do for the year, and number two, I just followed the coaching that I had in front of me, and from 8 to 11, it was just focus on prospecting, just dialing.
Let me add one thing that he's not saying that he's probably just not thinking of. So he came into the office and he had no leads. So I took the opportunity, of course, to go into our databases, and I actually exported old buyer leads that had been pretty much written off, meaning marked dead or bad or not interested, like literally leads that we had captured maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And probably within the first 2 to 3 days that he came into the office, he actually took those lists and he would sit there and call 60, 70 contacts a day of old, what people were calling useless, no good, worthless databases, and he started setting appointments.
Definitely.
So he walked into the office with no leads. We gave him old databases. He pounded them, and he actually started setting appointments. People that maybe they were not interested a year ago, but those year ago not interested are not necessarily not interested a year later.
All right. That's such a testament to building a database and staying in touch with it and adding value, because you never know. Every single email address and person that you connect with could be a buyer or seller. It just depends on when and whether or not you can build that relationship over time. So I love it.
Absolutely. Well, good. Hey, Scott, I appreciate it. For those of you that are listening, I appreciate you tuning in, and we're going to continue to do these on a monthly basis, and this is a real agent in a real office. I'm giving real coaching, and that's our contribution back to the real estate industry, man. Thanks for helping us out, Scott.
Thank you.